everyone, and welcome to this episode of the Inforunners podcast. And today we are talking about CCU.
That's right.
CCU.
Yes, we'll be talking about cross-chassis upgrades for those not in the know of the acronym. Um, this is going to be an educational video, probably unlike what many other people have either done in the past or are willing to touch upon. Some of it is in the more controversial sector of what CCUs are, can, and what you should and probably should not do. But basically, this more than anything, we believe that people should be educated to be how to use things and then use their own mind and choices as to what they want to do. I mean, the amount of guildies and organization members who come and ask for advice on CCUs come into it and have very poor understanding of how the system does work, how it can work, and how they can put it to their own benefit.
And it makes so many mistakes if you don't understand it, or it's complicated. Like, you'll hear Haze talk about it all the time, and you're like, what did he just say?
Yeah, some of it gets so complicated to the point where I'm not understanding the words that are coming out of my mouth. So hopefully we'll do the best to make this as clear and concise as we can.
All right,
if you're confused, you can always ask questions in the comments.
Please ask questions, and again, try not to fall asleep, because a lot of this will save you a lot of time, hassle, or major mistakes. Because I'm just going to say, when I first got into Star Citizen, this was overwhelming. I started CCUing my starter ship up and up and up, but then I realized, well, what about LTI? What about this ship? I now CCU'd myself out of a path to get a ship I wanted, and this is really where it's important to understand.
And we realize this is probably going to be a more controversial sort of a video, but like I believe very much that people should be in the know and be better educated, as opposed to ignoring what is actually there, how it works. So like yeah,
let's make it easy. Let's start off with $0
Disclaimer.
CCUs. $0 used CCUs are, keep in mind, they are going to be going away with Rio, and I understand some of the reasons why, but $0 CCUs are something important to understand. When a sale comes on, you can start stockpiling some of these $0 CCUs so you can start swapping between the chassis that you want. So let's say you're unsure about like your Hornet and Super Hornet and maybe your Gladiator. You can have several of those different CCUs going around and just start swapping around. Being able to find out what you like, what you don't like, or if they make a big change and remodel something, it gives you that flexibility to be able to go, nope, I'm not going to do this.
Yeah, it gives you options. So the idea that you're not quite sure which ship you want, like, but you'd like to try it before you buy, or perhaps find out what it is after it goes flight ready, as opposed to fully on committing to that ship. I mean, let's say you wanted a 600i, but you're not so sure that that's the ship for you, and you want to wait for it to release. You could buy a $35 CCU on that and just sort of sit on that and wait to see what happens. And, you know, if it isn't the ship of your dreams, you can just melt that little CCU, and you didn't sacrifice your Carrack or whatever you built it off of at the time. It's
it gives you that extra flexibility, but let's also think about it this way. Let's talk about thinking ahead and buying back steps. I could have bought that 600i at kind of a discount, you might say.
Yeah, I totally used a Banu merchantman that was worth $100 less to discount a 600i, and that's a bigger discount than a war bond. So, you know, CCUs do have other ways of making them work for you, saving you money if you carefully plan with them. And so the next best thing from a $0 CCU, since $0 CCUs are going away, is to base it off a ship that actually exists. So the CCU costs money, it persists in your hangar, and then when the price goes up on that, that maintains and persists. This is much better than $0 CCUs because it really puts limits on how many of these a certain person can buy. It makes them actually have to take an investment and actually plan to use these, as opposed to someone who can buy like hundreds of $0 CCUs and abuse them to no end or extent. They made no commitment. They made no financial plans to put aside to use it for perhaps future use.
And it screws with metrics.
Yeah. And so, this is the next best thing. It is less abusable than $0 CCUs, and it's something you can use to benefit yourself. And this is what we're mostly going to be focusing on right at this juncture. Now, so let's say we did get an Andromedia to a band measurement CCU. That's about a $25 investment, and you sat on that. That is probably the largest discount we've had, unless you were lucky enough to get some Starfarer CCUs tucked to... No, actually, CCUs did not exist back then when the Starfarer was super cheap. Not the first price increase, at least.
Sadly,
they had two separate price increases.
$140 to $300. That's a huge increase right there.
It jumped twice. It did. But okay, let's give an example. Some people will not just use one price increase on a CCU. They may actually try to chain several little ones together to get a more of a combined effect. Let's say a good example is the Nox. The Nox was sold, let's say if you got a 5-pack on a war bond, it was like, after the price goes up in 3.0, there's $16 discount on each one of those little tokens. If you then CCU'd that into a Gladiator on 3.0 and you had tucked away, let's say, a Gladius to Cutlass CCU, which might possibly increase by $10, and then you had saved away a CCU for the Prospector from a Ghost. So let's say a Ghost to a Prospector CCUs. And this is one of the ones I actually have. I'm sort of sitting on like a hen. And then you plan to go to a Hull C, and you use like a Saber to a Hull C CCU. So let's say 3.0 comes along, the Nox is suddenly worth $45. You CCU to a Gladius, you use the Gladius to Cutlass CCU, you CCU from a Cutlass to a Hornet Ghost, you then use your saved Hornet Ghost to a Prospector CCU. Stay with me, I know this is long. And then what do? You don't have that Saber CCU you needed. I mean, there's two options here now. Yeah, it's like I need that Saber CCU to go to the Hull C, but I don't have it.
You start crying?
Oh, wait. No, this is it. This is called reverse engineering a CCU. In other words, you bought that part of the link ahead of time and you melted it into your buyback. So you were smart and you thought, well, what happens if I don't have a Saber CCU and I want to apply that link between the Prospector to my Hull C? Well, you put it in your buyback. You bought it before for $30 and then you melted it. And then when the Prospector went up in price in 3.0, you could buy it back for that much less of how much ever it was sold for originally. This gives you those missing links in that chain, which then allows you to go from Prospector to Saber, then Saber to Hull C. Now, let's say the Cutlass goes up by $10 and the Prospector goes up by 10, and you save 16 on the Nox. That's $36, but that's also $36 less on a $200 ship. That's like, what is that? $164 for a Hull C. That's fairly comparable, and that was complex network web of CCU chainings and reverse.
There's literally flowcharts,
CCU buyback,
Excel spreadsheets for this. There's entire Excel spreadsheets, and you're just calculating all of this out, what you need to do, where where to go. And the thing is, this also example demonstrates the other big thing that CCUs bring, which is LTI. LTI is such a valuable thing. You buy a concept, and then you can CCU to whatever you want. So anytime a concept comes, you want to have a couple of these things just lying around, just so you can go, boom, I got LTI, now I'm going to CCU up, and use that for your CCU chains.
Well, the thing is, LTI on ships is a bit of a joke. I mean, they sell these space ships with 6 months insurance, often at sales if it's been sold the second time, or they give like this year it's 5-year insurance during CitizenCon most likely. But the thing is, you can get LTI. Anyone can get LTI. They get some sort of LTI token, and they use that LTI token. Let's say the Nox. Even if you got the War Bond Nox, a single token, it'd be $10 off. And then CCU that into a bigger ship, and you've already spent less money and got LTI, and
or hold on to the Nox for a while, wait for it to go up, like with what he was talking about there. That just even exponentially increases it more. You add an extra $10 to that. I mean, this is the type of planning that you need to be making, and
save money and get more, like, and LTI. You know, it's like. Even if you aren't planning to try to discount ships, using LTI tokens that are worth more than what you paid for them, and using them to get those LTI bigger ships, you know, this is the absolute most basic of mechanics that, you know, everyone should be highly aware of and take advantage of.
And if you're planning on investing a lot, it's important to pay attention to the packs and what is a good deal in a pack. Too, because there's a lot of packs out there. You had your best one, which was actually that Nox Warbond pack, or even the Caterpillar pack. The Caterpillar pack with 2 of those dragonflies and a caterpillar. Great deal.
Another one was the Terrapin Explorer pack. It came with a Carrack, a Terrapin, and a Dragonfly in a game package. And some of these packs we just mentioned here have steep discounts of in excess of 30%. Savings on ships. So like if you buy one of these packs, they save a large percentage of the money you're putting into them. Sometimes they don't always sell them. Sometimes they're a bit disingenuous, and you may get a 10 to 15% discount, which is, you know, if you CCU'd off an LTI token, you'd get a similar discount anyway. But some of them are really generous, and so like really look into some of the packs they sell out during CitizenCon to see if they're worthwhile. It's probably the best ones are the ones that come with new concept ships in them, because they're all with LTI. And and the other thing to be aware of is if you're in a larger org, there are many individuals who have these stored in their buybacks, and they'll be willing to sell to you at cost. Most org members, when selling to other org members, are not looking to make a buck off you. I know I have several of those Terrapin Explorer packs, Caterpillar packs, and Nox 5 packs in my buyback, with the sole intention of letting org members who missed out on those great deals to buy them off me and, you know, sort of gift them. And you know, that you can't get a better deal than that.
You really can't. But the thing is, we go to your org members, but never, ever, ever use the gray market. That is a very dangerous buyer beware world where risk is transferred to you and solely to you.
The gray market is in a gray area. Who would have suspected? Perhaps even a black area, you could say, that you take on all the risk, and it's not a supported sort of situation by CAG. It's more, you could say, it is sort of tolerated, but they certainly won't give you any support. And more than anything, we're going to talk about the gray market now, but we in no way encourage people. If anything, we tell you there are better ways to get ships. You can do these things yourself. You may be able to get tokens off guildies who are willing to sell.
CIG does have good sales.
Be patient. Yeah, like CitizenCon, they often have really good sales, and you can make this stuff up yourself. So we're going to cover the risks and the problems that the gray market inherently has, to sort of give you a warning of what you're getting into if you're
Don't get
impatient enough,
into it.
or perhaps not risk aware enough and get yourself into something like the gray market.
The first thing I have to say is always, always, always go with someone that has the invoices on PayPal, because that backs you up and PayPal will help you out. Because really, what happens when you buy from someone on the gray market, and this is what is so dangerous and bad about it, besides the fact you can get a better deal from an org member, which is cost because they're not trying to make a profit, these people will. You take a CCU. They do this entire CCU chain thing. They sell it to you. That's their profit margin. But now
the ship's actually worth less.
And you try to melt it. You go to melt it, and you find out, or let's just say they got that ship from their CCU chain when they bought credits from someone.
This brings us into the idea of a credit swap. These chips you buy from gray market sellers are not what you think they are. They necessarily buy out people's accounts at a fraction of the cost. Well, a bigger fraction, but let's say for 70% of what the cost is, and then they essentially gift all those ships to their main account, melt them down as credit, buy an LTI token, and use that credit to then stack on their CCUs to build up the ship they sell you. The problem is, you can't guarantee the original owner of those credits to that account won't turn around and say, well, my account was stolen and I want all my ships back. And CIG will help that person because it's their account. It's not your account. That ship will be taken away from you. So this is a problem that, some of these accounts they get are hacked accounts, or stolen accounts, or people who go back on their word and think they can get money for nothing by abusing some of these gray market sellers. And then you're left with the bill. At the end of the day,
dangerous.
They may try to make right by you, but some of these things are on a very large scale and they don't always have a happy ending. And this is the thing, it builds all this risk. You're the one that sits with all that risk. You're the one who, generally is going to be at risk, and you're putting yourself in that way. That's your choice.
So the big thing is just avoid the gray market. And if you're impatient enough, again, get invoices, because you can then file claims through PayPal, who will at least help you out to some degree.
50-50. It's not a guaranteed safety net. And so, the thing is, gray market is some of them offer below cost, and some of them offer above cost. In general, a good rule is if it's too good to be true, it probably is. And many people get sucked into that sort of limelight, the idea that they see such a great deal and they're just going to take the risk because it just seems so good that they're just going to take that risk, and they get bullied into not using a PayPal invoice, or they don't do their research, or they just it's too. I've heard too many stories of people who were burnt, and at the end of the day, I think it's because they didn't really understand the situation they were getting into. And at the end of the day, it's sort of education and understanding about these things that can help people avoid these impatient sort of knee-jerk decisions, as opposed to being patient.
So guys,
okay. No, so we didn't cover two other things. That's enough of the gray market. Stay safe. Don't even go near it, because frankly, you get better deals with orgs. But now let's go into taxes.
Nope. Nope.
Well, Australians, we just got this new 10% tax, and the EU has already had for quite a while now a 20% tax. This is actually a huge slug on some people, because it starts adding up pretty quickly. I know I've got friends and family in other countries, mostly the United States. It's, just...
Nope.
If you know people,
I do not endorse that, nor do we suggest that you even try doing anything like that.
It's there, though.
So,
and the other thing is to be aware of is different exchange rates. Like if you're in a country, let's say that, Australians didn't used to pay tax, but all organization would normally do a table for a new concept ship and say, okay, here's the EU rate, the US rate, and then the United Kingdom, and say, okay, this is the best deal for you. So like, depending on your country, if you're not forced to pay in a particular currency, sometimes there's a greater advantage depending on the exchange rate to buy in a different currency. Like this time last year, it made a whole lot of sense to play in pounds because we got like a good 15% off our ship purchases at that time until they CIG every so often corrects the exchange rate so that you don't get those sort of big advantages. It's worth being aware of. For those people outside of those countries and who can't choose their primary currency, you know, that can be an option.
There's a lot of options.
I hope that was informative. More than anything, remember to stay safe on these things. It's better to ask friends, family, or fellow org mates if you are looking for that LTI token than venturing onto the gray market. I mean, most of these sorts of people will do it at cost. They will not want to take advantage of you.
And plan ahead. That's the other big thing. Really pay attention what ships might go up in cost. And then the other thing is, what do you want to do? What do you want to do? And just be able to make that happen in the smartest way possible, or at least have other options around that ship. So if it's not, that ship doesn't end up being the dream ship you want, you at least can move somewhere else where you're happy. Because we all support the game, not just for not for the ships, but because we want to see this game happen. We want to see, all you need is a game package, but we want to.
It's about believing in a dream. Otherwise, we wouldn't, you know, spend so much time and effort and energy in the Star Citizen. It's about supporting a bigger picture, something into the future. At the same time, it's not too late to start planning now. I mean, like, those Cutlass and the Aquila will increase in price. They're in the store right now. Maybe you have a larger ship you can discount with the Cutlass. Maybe you have something more expensive ship you could give a small bump using the Aquila. You know, these are things that are now, not something you've done in the past. It's never too late to start planning ahead and, you know, get those little intrinsic sort of bumps.
So give us your feedback down below, and of course ask Haze, the brilliant guy with all the spreadsheets, down below your questions concerning CCUs. Please don't ask me. I know a little bit, but not much. I'm not the guru.
As always, don't forget to like and subscribe, and catch you around.
You're right.